The cafe door slammed open so hard that everyone jumped in their seats. Three Marines in full dress uniform marched inside, their heavy boots pounding against the floor like thunder. People stopped eating. Even the clinking of coffee cups went silent. Behind the counter, Tanya, a young waitress, stood frozen with tears in her eyes. She had just been fired. At the center table sat an old man, hunched over an empty plate, his hands shaking. The manager turned pale. No one knew why the Marines were here, but everything was about to change. Maya had worked at the Morningside Café for 3 years. She wasn't just another waitress, she was the heart of the place. She knew every customer's name, remembered their favorite meals, and always had a smile ready, even on tough days. Every Sunday, an older man named Mr. Callahan came in. He was a Vietnam veteran, quiet and kind, but clearly struggling. Maya noticed how he always counted his coins before ordering, barely affording a small coffee. But she never let him go hungry. She'd quietly bring him a full breakfast, pretending it was a mistake order so he wouldn't feel ashamed. Technically, it broke the rules. But to Maya, no one should sit hungry, especially someone who had once served the country. She thought kindness mattered more than policies. That morning, Mr. Callahan walked into the cafe with tired eyes and empty hands. He patted his pockets, searching for spare change, but came up with nothing. Jasmine saw him from behind the counter. His hands weren't just shaking from age, they shook from hunger. Without thinking twice, she fixed him a full breakfast: eggs, toast, bacon, and a hot cup of coffee. She placed it in front of him with a gentle smile. But just as he picked up his fork, the cafe manager saw it happen. His face twisted in anger. In front of everyone, he shouted, "You're done here, Jasmine. You're fired." The whole room went silent. Jasmine stood there stunned as the manager pointed toward the door. Mr. Callahan tried to speak up, but the manager talked over him. Jasmine took off her apron slowly, heart pounding. People in the cafe started whispering, unsure if what they just witnessed was fair or deeply wrong. Lila grabbed her bag with shaking hands. She'd just lost her job for doing something kind. Around her, customers whispered and looked uncomfortable. Some muttered under their breath, clearly upset about what had just happened. Mr. Callahan slowly stood up, using the edge of the table to balance himself. His voice was rough and soft. She was just helping. But the manager cut him off with a cold glare. "Charity doesn't pay the bills," he snapped. That's when a young man sitting at the counter pulled out his phone. He had been a quiet regular, always in a black leather jacket. He stood up and walked outside, phone to his ear. "Yeah, it's me," he said. "We've got a situation." Lila didn't hear the rest. She stood near the door, trying not to cry, wondering how everything went so wrong so fast. She had only tried to help someone in need. She didn't expect what would happen next, or that her simple act of kindness was about to bring powerful attention to that little cafe. Suddenly, the front door slammed open so hard it made everyone jump. 3 Marines in perfect dress uniforms marched in, their boots hitting the floor like drums. They didn't say a word as they walked straight through the cafe, every head turning to watch. The room went completely silent. Even the manager looked confused and scared. The tallest Marine stopped right in front of Mr. Callahan's table and gave a sharp salute. "Sergeant Callahan," he said in a strong and clear voice, "we heard there was a problem." Nina stood frozen by the door, clutching her apron in disbelief. Mr. Callahan wasn't just a kind old man. He had once led men like these. The manager's face turned pale. I didn't know," he stammered. "You didn't ask," one of the Marines replied, his tone sharp. Mr. Callahan looked up. "This young woman showed me more respect than anyone in this room," he said quietly, "and she got punished for it." Then the Marine leader turned to the manager and said something no one expected. "You have 2 choices. Rehire her, or we make sure every veteran in this city knows how you treat heroes." The manager's mouth opened, then shut. He looked around the cafe, seeing the angry faces of customers and the serious stares of the Marines. Finally, he gave a slow nod. "She can have her job back," he said quietly. Tasha stood still, shocked. Just minutes ago, she had been thrown out like she didn't matter. Now she was being rehired in front of everyone. By the end of the day, she was back behind the counter, wearing a clean apron. Mr. Callahan sat in his usual seat, smiling with pride. This time, his meal was free, paid for by the cafe itself. As the Marines turned to leave, one of them paused at the door. He looked back at Tasha, gave a small smile, and said, "Respect, ma'am." She smiled too. Her hands were still a little shaky, but her heart felt full. Some rules are worth breaking, especially when it means standing up for someone who truly deserves respect. Word about what happened spread fast. By the next morning, people were talking. Veterans from all over town started showing up at the cafe, not for free food, but to thank Jasmine. They shook her hand, shared their stories, and said her kindness reminded them that respect still mattered. Even customers who had never paid much attention before began smiling at her more, leaving bigger tips, or just saying thank you a little louder. Jasmine felt something shift. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was someone people looked up to. Mr. Callahan came in every day after that. His meals were always covered and his table never empty. The manager kept his distance, quiet and unsure. But Jasmine didn't care. She had done the right thing, and now everyone saw it. One afternoon, a little girl came up to her and said, "I want to be like you when I grow up." Jasmine knelt down, smiled, and replied, "Always stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't easy." Maya lost her job because she showed kindness to someone who needed it, but her small act made a big difference. It showed that respect and kindness matter more than rules or money. The Marines stood up for her, and the whole town noticed. Maya's story reminds us that one person can make a change just by doing what's right. When you see someone in need, don't be afraid to help, even if it feels risky. Kindness can come back in ways you never expect. And sometimes, standing up for what's right inspires others to do the same. So remember, never give up on being kind, no matter what. If Zara's story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button and share this video so others can hear about the power of kindness. Drop a comment below with your own story about standing up for someone or breaking the rules for a good reason. Let's spread the message that small acts of courage and respect can change the world, one person at a time.